Oh yeah, I just remembered something that I wanted to say earlier in the video. Ntlatlha Mkhwanazi for National Police Commissioner. Because the guy is doing everything to show and prove to the people of South Africa that he is deserving of this position. Some people are saying he should be Minister of Police, but anyways, I digress. Okay, let me digress one more time. Just one more time. How I wish that the operation that was being conducted by the police in Durban Point, I think it was, would have been done in Hillbrow, downtown Johannesburg, Yeoville, as well as Berea and other parts of Cape Town, where all these shenanigans are happening in the destruction of our country and the future of our children. Anyways, like I said, I digress. Let's get back to the Senzo Mewa murder trial. That after lunch, Mr. Mangena then took back the stand and he suddenly had a memory coming back to him. It came like flooding, and he was like, oh, by the way, at Pretoria North, Gininda was not there. Remember where Ntanzi was being searched and looked and all that stuff? And Ntanzi said Gininda, Mukhano, Mukhola, and everybody were there, and they denied that they were ever there or Gininda was there. Well, Mangena did actually confirm this morning that actually Gininda was there. And then he comes back after lunch, just like, I had him. My memory came back. No, he was not there. And then Mngomezulu kind of like giggled. And I giggled along with him. And he said, I know, I'm going to take what you said at first. You confirmed that Gininda was there. And yet he, Mukhola, Mukhano, everybody else denied it that he was at Pretoria North when Danzi was being searched for tattoos and dreadlocks, gold tooth and all of that stuff, basically being humiliated in front of all the police officers that were in that room, including him, Mangena. So, of course, the fabrication continues on the stand. Why not? I mean, the other part that I also find quite interesting was how Mangena says... how Mangena said to the court that he does not put everything in his statements. But then if you're not going to put everything in your statement, then why come to court and say the things that you excluded from your statement and present them as if they were facts? I mean, what do you think the defense lawyer is supposed to say? Like, okay, we accept that. And the record's supposed to say, okay, we accept that. The court's supposed to say, okay, we accept that. As well as the accused, they must say, yeah, okay, we accept that. No, it cannot be. What you do not put in your statement, you leave out when you are on the stand. You're not going to go there now and say, oh, let me elaborate on what I mean by what I left out of the statement and why I'm saying this now. Like, really? You've been a police for 30 years and you don't know that? And it was quite interesting to hear a whole police officer who's been a police officer, according to him, for the past 30 years, but he doesn't know the differences between an investigating officer and a police officer. Especially a police officer who is a ballistic expert. So in other words, what he was trying to tell the court is, I was both a referee as well as a player in this matter, because I'm supposed to be the expert in ballistic, right? This is where the police bring evidence to me to test to whether the evidence is positive or negative, and then hand it back to the police to go to court. But no, Yena, he is the police, he's the investigator as well as the ballistic expert. That's exactly what Mr. Mngomezulu was bringing to his attention, but it was flying over him because he knows that he cannot admit that as a ballistic expert, he had no right without the indemnity form to carry a gun with him and traveling from one point to the next. And he's saying, no, because I'm a police officer. I mean, I suspect that ballistic experts, they don't wear blue uniforms, they wear private clothes. And then indeed, if he was to travel along the South African streets and there's a roadblock and they search his car and then they found an unlicensed gun or firearm, he would have been arrested, irrespective of how he explains himself as, oh no, but I am a ballistic expert, but also I'm a police officer. It does not work that way, because you need to have proper documentation that gives you the right to have this firearm so that if you are blocked in a roadblock, you are able to produce this particular document that shows and proves that indeed you were given permission to travel with this firearm, not only as a police officer, as he puts it, but also as a ballistic expert or as a ballistic person that is responsible for this gun. And why would a gun be leaving the lab of an ballistic officer? I don't understand. Well, what was he talking about, this guy? He realizes that he's pushed against the corner by Mngome Zulu, and I don't think he's liking it. And then I agree with Mr. Mngome Zulu when he was saying, yeah, that it's true. I agree with you. Police these days, they do as they please. To Mr. Baloy standing up and saying, now this is a general whatever. Well, I can't even remember what he was objecting to. But the truth of the matter is, here you have a ballistic expert telling a whole court that, yeah, in the SAPS, we do as we please. We don't carry proper documentation. We own these streets. The law and order, what's that? And you wonder why so much levels of crime in South Africa. You wonder why police officers are friends with criminals or even the pockets of criminals. Why criminals, they feel like they run the streets of South Africa because of people like Mangena. That's my opinion. Because they do as they please. They don't follow due diligence when it comes to serious matters that are going to affect real people. That is why I believe in Tlatlam Kwanaze when he says policing is a call. It's not something that you wake up in the morning and say, oh, today I feel like I want to be a police officer. You need to feel it from within. I believe that being a doctor, being a teacher, being a police officer, and being a nurse and a lawyer, these five, it has to be a calling. It cannot be an alternative, because when you finish matric, it was full here and it was full in engineering, and the only option that I had was to go and do law, or the only option I had was to go and become a police officer so that I can earn an income at the end of the month. If this is not a calling, it's just a job, a duty, yeah, you do like how Mangena is doing things. Then it came to the evidence or the statement of Longwe, who was very specific about the type of gun that the intruders were carrying. He said it was a 38 Special. We later learned that a 38 Special is actually a revolver. And then this Mangena guy, he is adamant that it was indeed a 9mm. And I agree with Mr. Mngome Zulu, which I also said earlier in the video, that of course, if you are given the wrong evidence to go and test, you are going to test this evidence accordingly, because that's what was brought to you. But the real evidence that is probably being withheld because they want to cover up for somebody or want to protect somebody. And I did say earlier on, Chico Twala is a legend. And a legend will have all kinds of people as friends and acquaintances and connections and you name it. And at the crime scene, you had an MEC for health. You had a Hawks guy. You had people that some of them were not supposed to even been at the crime scene, but they were there. And you have to ask yourself, what were they doing there? Whom are they protecting right now? Are they protecting the MEC? Are they protecting the Hawks guy? Who are they protecting? And hence they gave this wrong information for Mangena to test. Because eyewitnesses clear in their statements. Yes, Tumelo Madlala did qualify his statement about seeing a flying wheel or something like that. But Zandile didn't. And all the other ones, including Longwe, they never did. They all said the same thing, especially with Longwe, who was very specific that it was a 38 Special revolver. Everyone else, they don't know guns. Fine, I also don't know guns. But I would pay attention to the type of weapon that is used against me, and I live to tell the tale. Of course, they said it had a wheel. And now this Mangena guy is coming up with all kinds of explanations instead of giving a straight answer like a ballistic person. And the example that he gave about the BMW key and driving a different car, because it's clear that he's trying by all means to mislead the court into thinking. Of course, we have a judge who probably will say, yeah, definitely, because at the end of his last word was that he was very interested in the argument of the cartridge. And Mangena just said to Mr. Mngomezulu, no, there were no cartridges found. And not because it's a revolver, cartridges must be found, because this was a contact type of scuffle between the shooter and Senzo Meyiwa. It disturbed the ejection of the cartridge or the bullet head or whatever the case is. And then Rata says what he said at the end, and I'm like, he says bullets were found. But what do you call this? The expert says no bullets were found. Or maybe I misunderstood. I don't know. It was quite interesting. You can just tell where this is going. Mr. Mngomezulu was able to push Mangena against the wall, and things zapuchuga. And since things are kind of like leaking, they are trying their best to mend those holes because they're too grave for the state. So, of course, Mr. Mangena says the evidence that was given to him is consistent with the crime scene. Because if it was a revolver or a 38 special, the damages on the door and on the tiles would have been different. And therefore, those damages are consistent with a 9mm. Even though no bullet heads or bullet cartridges were found at the crime scene. I don't know. I think at this point in time, he is just hoping for the best. You know, he's just shooting in the darkness. Like, I hope I hit something. But of course, like I said, Judge Ratau came basically indirectly to come and help the witness like he always does. And then he adjourned the court and walked off. So guys, up until tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial returns. It was quite interesting, I must say, because several times I found myself laughing, giggling, and quite shocked, as a matter of fact, like, do we have an expert for real here? And I think at this point he did kind of gain his confidence, and he was even able to brazenly, after lunch in particular. Clearly he was called aside and like, bro, you are looking weak, understand? And secondly, we said, according to the state story, Gininda was not at Pretoria North with Ntanzi and yourself. Gininda was not there. And he comes back and says, I would like to make a correction. And I'm like, come on. But anyways, we already know with the state's witnesses, they will always come back to correct something that they said, which was the truth. And then the state has said something totally different together with other witnesses that have taken the stand, and then they come to want to correct things. We saw it with Colonel Steyn. We saw it with Mkhola. We saw it with Mkhanu. We saw it like how many of these people will keep coming and making corrections on the stand. And yet they did not mention this in their evidence in chief. And now that they are being cross-examined, suddenly now the amnesia goes away. And you know how they say, I think it's also in the Bible, that from the heart, the mouth speaketh. Meaning that what are you always harboring in your heart, your mouth will accidentally, that is what some people call it, slip of a tongue. So that's exactly what happened with Mangena this morning. His tongue slipped and told the truth. And then that truth was corrected to him during lunchtime. It was also quite interesting to hear Mangena in the morning say, oh, he used an ordinary tape to measure the everything that he did on the crime scene. And then, of course, Mr. Mngomezulu stood on this one. He's like, listen, I would like you to get that tape so that we can do some demonstrations here in court. And just before lunch, Mr. Mngomezulu was like, okay, Mr. Mangena is going to go to the office in Silverton, which is not far from Pretoria, to go and get the what do you call the tape. And then suddenly his amnesia goes away and says, oh, I think I have it in my car, because he was only promoting the laser one, but not the one that he used, or similar kind to the one he used in 2014. And he remembers, oh yeah, by the way, I think I have one in my car. And I was like, I don't think you have it, you always had it, because what if the laser doesn't work? Or what if you are like a thorough type of expert who wants to use both modern technology as well as the 1940s method of doing things? Because sometimes many people don't trust modern stuff, especially if they've been in the field for a very long time, versus the new people coming in new because they were taught with technology how to investigate. Now, the old school guys, they still rely heavily on the old school stuff that they've been using for years and years and years before the technology came into place. That is why I feel our police force as a whole needs brand new police officers. I'm talking young people, people that are technology savvy, people that know how to get things done in a speed of light versus things that are done in such like as if we're still stuck in the 1990s. For goodness sake, we are in the 21st century and things should be done at the speed of light. I mean, technology makes things easier. It's supposed to make our lives much easier. Now, the old school guys, they still believe in the old school things. That is why you see our government in tatters. Why our departments of government, they are not technologically savvy. Why are we still using paper? Why are we still standing in queues when I could be sitting right there in my house in the comfort of my couch or bed and apply or reapply or update something about me on at home affairs, for example. But no, I have to wake up at 3 in the morning and go stand in a long queue. Like seriously, why? Because we got people that are old that are running this country. So same thing with our police force. Ntatlam Kwanazi for National Police Commissioner, he's doing the Lord's work and we need to support him, all of us, I believe. We need to support him 100%. I also see people saying, no, I'm sorry for going there. I just want to go there. Please forgive me. I'm of the view that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi should be appointed national police officer and then leave Senzo Mchunu in the Ministry of Police. And I'll tell you why. Senzo Mchunu is the type that when a huge bust is done or a huge crime is done, for example, the 95 Libyan, he was there to give kind of emotional support to the police and to also show the community that the government is also caring, and that is why it's there. Immediately, Mr. Mkhunu has shown the support. Guess what he does? He hands over the police, he hands over policing to the police. By that I mean he hands it to the National Commissioner of Police, who is the commander of the police everywhere, to do what needs to be done so that justice is served. Not a minister who comes there and becomes like a Hollywood star and then next thing nothing is done. And then the police commissioner or commissioners, they are thrown there in the background and then you still don't see any action done. That is why the South African safetyness is non-existent, because we had a minister that loved being in front of cameras and taking over what the National Police Commissioner is supposed to say by giving marching orders to the police so that the people of South Africa can quickly see the results of what was busted or who was arrested. Just like now, 120 illegal foreigners are arrested or were arrested in Durban today. But the question now is, will we see deportation? We need to see these people hop on the aeroplane and taken back wherever they come from, and then slapped with the persona non grata, meaning that they are banned from coming to South Africa in their entire lives. Red screen every computer screen everywhere in our ports of entry so that they never have to set foot here. 120, I am not enough with that, because if you go to Point in Durban, it's not 120 of them. There are at least 100,000 of them. What happened? Who tipped the other ones that the run we're about to come? Because we do have those police officers that are taking money. They are in the pockets of these drug pushers in Durban. Somebody tipped them. And then that investigation needs to happen within. Why did we get 120? That cannot be. That's not a true number. But now we want to see on television, just like we saw with the 95 Libyans when they were deported. We saw them, the plane take off with all 95 of them. Now let's see the same aeroplanes taking this 120, and then let's go to Hillbrow. Let's go to Yeovil. Let's go to Pretoria. Let's go to Hillbrow. And let's go to downtown Johannesburg. Let's go to Cape Town. Let's go to Pretoria. I mean, what's that place called in Pretoria again? The one that they wanted to be called Mini Lagos? Like, what the hell? How do you even go to somebody else's country and demand a certain portion of our capital? That's the declaration of war right there. To become mini whatever country you come from. That's total disrespect. So it's not enough. That is why I feel like Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi needs to be made the National Police Commissioner so that he can wipe clean our slate with all these people that are undesirables that are busy destroying our country and the future of our children and the safety of our children, whom are getting kidnapped by the same people and turned into prostitutes in Hillbrook, Campton Park. Oh, let's not forget Campton Park, by the way. It's littered there. I think the entire, if there is a place that needs to be called mini Lagos, definitely is Campton Park. Definitely. That place is littered, and you... anyways, I'm getting carried away. Let's I don't know. Draft a petition or something for Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi to replace the current one. He's useless. He's useless. So at least we are seeing somebody doing something. Let's appoint that person. Let's get to work, guys. Let's get to work. We got to work. The people of South Africa are waiting for things to happen. GNU is showing itself. Biki is showing itself. But eventually, we are going to win this, come what may. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't leave the video without liking, sharing, commenting, and also do consider subscribing so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. See you guys next time with a new video. See you tomorrow. Let's see what Mangena has to say. Goodbye.